All right, so what's going on? This morning we're at one of Jim's mowing jobs, and Jim's kind of like the neighborhood lawn guy. We're going to show you what he's cutting today, what he's got going on, what he's doing with the fence lines, and of course this is with the scythe. Hold tight. Jim, you're like the human bush hog. What's going on over here?
Yeah, it's kind of over the last like 15 years. I've done a work trade with Side Mill Organic Farm, mowing all the fence lines and rough areas. You know, it's a really nice partnership kind of. I mow for them like 3 hours a week, and then I get all the seedlings I want when I arrive, and then she gives me a little cash at the end of the year. But it's really nice, and you know, it's amazing how good this tool is for fence lines. You know, I don't know how many, I'm not sure what goes on in, you know, the big farms that use a lot of electric fences, but you know, I don't know how they keep them clean. If it's probably weed whackers, that's what I'm imagining. But this tool is so much superior to that.
Weed whacker's the herbicide, huh? Liquid fence lines.
Yeah, but I can't imagine they're putting herbicide right where the animals are, but they might be.
Those conventional guys, Jim, I don't know.
It could be. But like this fence line that I'm coming up to now, you know, it's a cow fence, so it's, you know, 3 feet high. So it's not as important, but you can see there's grass up on it, and that'll ground it out. So just getting through all the fence lines, and there must be, I don't know, at least 10 miles of fence line here.
Whoa, they keep you busy.
Yeah,
but you want to keep busy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten so much faster than when I started. I used to spend like 5 and 6 hours here, but now I'm so much faster, you know, I get the same amount done in half the time. And it's still the same motion, mostly, trying to use your body more.
You've made it pretty far without sharpening it. I'm surprised.
See this rough stuff that's standing up?
Yeah.
It cuts so easy compared to, you know, that thin stuff. So yeah, even this little bit will ground. That's the 8th generation farmer. It's now in the 9th generation with Aaron and Carly.
This is a 9th generation farm, you said?
Yep, and their kids, the 10th generation, are starting to work here.
Oh.
So that's a long time from
Keeping it alive, huh?
From the 1700s. So they do rotational graze. So the cows go in at night, milk them in the morning, then probably about 10 o'clock they go out to whatever field they're grazing them in. To the right of us, there's a big paddock that they've got turkeys in. I don't know how many, probably maybe 1,000, a lot. That's one of their big money makers, turkeys for Thanksgiving, I guess, and Christmas. It takes a little more effort to get this big stuff, but it's pretty good. And I'm just getting this so that it doesn't grow up, so this will be the last mowing for the year here.
Last of the year?
Yep. And I only got, I think, probably 4 more weeks coming here. Things stop growing as you get into September.
You brought them some veggies today too, right?
Yeah, we had some, yeah, they've got a farm stand on Saturday.
10 to 2?
Yeah, oh, you saw the sign, probably.
I saw the sign on the way in.
Yeah, so we've been bringing them sugar snap peas and cucumbers, and I'm hoping to bring tomatoes because I think I'm going to have an overabundance. And she loves tomatoes. They used to do a lot more vegetables here, but you know, the profitability of the chickens and the time and energy it takes to, you know, you do them, they just kind of backed off on the veggies, and they're, you know, buying organic veggies from other farmers across the state because they're delivering. I think they're going down to Portland with their chicken birds. So it's kind of local food, but getting almost not local.
What is this, the charger?
So, you know, there's a charger at the barn, and that's where the hookup is. That's the hot wire.
Okay, so
it goes, it's amazing. I don't know how big chargers they use, but it's all, I think everything's still plug-in. There's no solar here. You know, they might do that later. So, I mean, I can't imagine trying to keep these fences. But I know they appreciate me because, I mean, chasing cows down Route 1 is not fun. And they've done it.
And the grass grounds out the fence.
Yep. Grass and trees. So when we're gonna go walk that big pasture fence, and you know, there'll be some tree branches. This all looks pretty good.
Nice looking grass right there, Jim.
Yeah. They even, I mean, I didn't even mow that, so they grazed under the fence. They know what they can do. But yeah, last time you were here, I was mowing out there, and they had chicken birds.
I remember the tractors all over the field.
Yeah. So.
Pretty grown up now.
You know, it's actually a lot less if if I look at what's here. That used to be a lot of trees out there. So they've done good by just grazing it. So this is coming more and more grazable land.
Wow.
Like this was all bush. I think these are both grafted trees.
You've had one?
It's a later one, so they won't be ready right now, but there might be some out in that point that are good. Yeah, this ain't gonna be too exciting, but except for the scenery.
It's quite pretty over here, Jim.
Yeah. And there's the calves.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, they have me mow all their thistles. And, you know, because they don't want them to go to seed. But what I've noticed over the years is the only place the thistles are is where there's damaged land. Okay? And so it's actually an indicator that they're trying to heal the land because they're taproot. You know, mostly they're healing compaction. And again, as some of the areas get less trod on, the thistles go away. And it's not because I'm mowing them. That's so.
Indicator species, huh?
Yeah.
How big is this farm, Jim?
What?
How big is this place?
1,600 acres?
Okay. That's it, huh?
Yeah, that's the fencer.
1,600 acres maintained organically.
Yep. All certified. So this is called Tide Mill Farm because there was a lumber mill run by the tide back in the 1800s.
Wait.
Yep. And believe it or not, some of the lumber for the cribbing is still here. He's got some guy that knows a lot about it, so he's studying it and seeing how they rebuilt it. So imagine this whole thing fills up to where the water line is. See it there?
Whoa, on the high tide?
Right. And so all that water is back up there. As it comes in, it'll run a turbine, and as it comes out, it'll run a turbine. I think it wasn't even turbines back then. It was belts, a wheel that would turn, but that's the old cribbing from the 1800s.
That's what?
See that wood there?
Yeah.
That's still from the 1800s.
Wow.
You know,
Petrified.
yeah.
They make wood like they used to. Is that the kind of seaweed you would use to sheet mulch?
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
that's called rockweed.
Rockweed.
Yep. And a lot of times when it breaks loose and then comes up at high tide and is left, you don't want to take it off the rocks because that's life-giving to a lot of organisms. But when it's broken loose, then it's just kind of going to rot. So yeah, so this is Cobscook Bay out here. And it feeds into the Bay of Fundy. So this is where there's, you know, at certain, in the full moon and the new moon, there's 28-foot tides here.
Jeez.
In Florida, what, we got 4 if you're lucky?
4 to 6.
Yeah.
6 on the moon.
Gotta get the thistle. Nah, I just wanted to get that. So.
That one piece?
Satisfying.
Yeah, they just want a few less, seeds. When I first started working here like 15 years ago, they had a veggie girl, her name was Elizabeth, and she lived on a point over there, right over that way, and she kayaked to work every day.
Really?
It was so cool, yeah.
Was she staying in a tent?
No, she rented a one-room cabin on a point that she had to carry water to, no electric.
Off-grid.
Off-grid, totally.
Jeez.
Here you can see a little bit where the fences touched it.
Oh, and it burnt the
burnt
top
it.
of the plant.
Yeah. Hopefully we see some grass further on, and so that'll just decrease the efficiency of the fence. But if you have like this whole edge like that, then you got trouble. You know, it's just a time-consuming job that they really don't have time for, so you know, they appreciate me doing it, and I appreciate the free seedlings.
I'm guessing in this situation too, there's less scare of the animals with this type of tool too, you know?
No doubt. Hey girl, how you doing? We got flies. You got flies. You need one of them fly things that Willie has.
What's up, big dude?
Nope, trouble in ribbon.
Who what?
That.
Uh-oh.
Trouble. So all that will just take a little efficiency away. God, that's beautiful. Beauty day in the neighborhood.
Why does Jim go to Maine? Oh man.
This is it. Not a person in sight.
Jim, so what are they worried about?
They're feeding out.
Of what? What species are we looking for?
This is thistle.
And what else?
Burdock.
Burdock and thistle.
Yeah.
So they literally have you coming out here in the field and knocking them down before
Yeah.
they seed and spread.
Yep, it's easier now because they graze this again.
Here's a little guy. Whoa.
What's that?
Not big enough? What's the
Oh,
what's the
yeah,
standard?
I mean-
What are we looking for?
That ain't just to eliminate a certain portion. I'm not going to get them all.
So how do most fields do it that are conventional?
I don't know. I don't know if they spray or not.
Man, it's got to be the only other commercial option, right?
Yeah.
Some kind of selective herbicide.
Or like a bush hog after they graze.
Do they ever have to cut the grass here, or the animals take care of everything?
No, they never hay here. You know, I asked them about that this year because it seemed like the growth was getting ahead of the animals and they end up wasting a lot of it. See how it's kind of trampled down?
Oh yeah.
But he said it's still not worth it if they've got access to hay.
So they don't stack hay inside from here?
No, and they don't stack it inside. They do all round bales here. So it sits outside in, you know, those plastic coverings.
Yeah.
It's like the dance.
Wow. I guess none of the animals will eat those?
No, and that's why it's easier after they graze so you can see what's left.
Oh, because they're leaving everything they don't want. They eat the candy, huh?
Yeah.
You think if you mobbed them, they'd eat them?
Nope. I think if you mob them early before the pointy parts get on them, maybe.
Eat them while they're young?
Yeah. Because I've seen them nibbling some early. But look at the difference in where they let them graze all the time.
Where they give a break?
Can you see?
Yeah. It's down, huh?
It's down, but it's still green.
See ya.
See, took the fence down too.
Whoa.
All in one motion.
Oh, nature's toilet paper, mullein. Okay. Rob Greenfield, what do you know about this one, dude? We get a pound grass. Oh, break out the scythe, one scythe revolution. Oh,
Yeah.
All right, so Jim, the hired scythe. Some people hire lawn guys, some people use weed eaters, most people use herbicides. Jim's using a scythe. I think that was pretty cool. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button if you want to see some more of our adventures. I know we're going fishing next. I don't know if I'm gonna quite film that, but be sure to hit that subscribe button, pound that bell to stay notified. Most importantly, get out there and grow. Pounder.